is we've got a lot of great programs coming up. And as I mentioned, if you have questions, please feel free to use the chat. You can see it should be at the bottom of your screen. That's the administrative stuff out of the way. I will be hanging around in case you have questions to help monitor, but otherwise I will turn it over to Jalisha, and she's got the slideshow, right, Jalisha?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Making sure I can.
There you go.
Awesome. Right. So once again, I'm Jalisha, like Todd said, and I am a loan officer with Thread Capital. I'll cover more in a second of exactly what Thread Capital is. But I wanted to say thank you guys for taking your time this morning to view this webinar. One of the things I feel is very important as a small business owner and working in this space is to stay informed. So if you're looking for funding now or you're just planning ahead, this is always super important. Make sure so I can go to the next slide. Sorry. So once again, one of the most important things for a successful business is a committed owner, a strong business concept, a strategy, and last but not least, money. This presentation will explain the NC Rule Center as well as Thread Capital. We'll go through the 6 C's of lending, which is available for any type of lending, and then we'll also go through what financing options may be right for you. So we'll start with the Rule Center. The Rule Center is a private nonprofit that's been around for 30 years. And we do economic development within the 80 rural counties of North Carolina. And our overall mission is to develop, promote, and implement sound economic strategies to improve the quality of life for rural North Carolinians. And once again, we cover the 80 rural counties, so which are all the green counties on this map. So within the Rule Center, we split our work into 4 different programming areas. One of our first programming areas is engagement. So we help communities articulate clear visions to invest in their assets and create a culture for collaborative problem solving. We like to think of ourselves as one of the industries that is serving as a leader advocacy for rural communities. And we want to have a voice that's informed with data, researchers, and best practices. And not only that, we also want to have the wisdom of the people in the communities. A couple of initiatives that we're doing under our engagement include advocacy work. We have a faith in rural communities program, a food and community development, and then we also do a STEP for small business program, which we're working with small business owners in the small business community to support that work. Another program within the Rural Center is our leadership program. And overall, we want to be active promoters of leadership, which is inclusive, connected, and informed. And we want to help nurture the next level of leadership in rural communities. And a couple initiatives we're running within this spectrum are our homegrown leaders, the regional leadership projects and project development, as well as our Ready Institute, which is a regional training. And for any of these programs, you can definitely check out our website for more. I'm not going to go into much detail now, since I only have around 45 minutes to go through the entire thing. Another program area which we cover at the Rural Center is our research. We feel that data and research is the heart of our work because we want to be informed and make sure that we're not just talking about things, but we also have the research to back it. And then the last programming area is lending. So that's the area that we're here to talk about mostly today. So the Rural Center sets out to deliver critical resources to support existing businesses, as well as to help develop and bring about future entrepreneurs. And we overall allow capital access up to $5 million, and we divide that into 2 different programming areas. And Thread Capital, which I'm a lender for provides a direct funding up to $50,000 and also helps to mitigate those partnerships to increase the capital up to $5 million. And we'll go more through Thread. Thread Capital is a subsidiary of the Rural Center, which we just launched on May 29th. So we're fairly young in the game, but we've been doing this work for the last 25 years as well. So for today's presentation, we will go through funding options and fueling your business within North Carolina. And some of the things that's important to consider and to look at before it comes to fueling your business and considering financing. It's always important to check your credit report, to assess your collateral, to figure out exactly what startup expenses you need, to talk to a business counselor in your area about a business plan, because a business plan is very important, and then to decide what type of financing better suits your needs and what your community can provide for you. So today we'll go through the 6 C's of lending, which include credit, collateral, cash flow, capacity, and conditions. When it comes to credit, it shows your reputation with lenders. It shows the details on all of your loans and debts. It tracks payments and non-payments. It provides information about collections, liens, bankruptcies, and other derogatory credit information. As a lender, we try not to look directly just at your credit. It is an important part of the lending process, but we try to make sure that it's not the only thing that's looked at. So overall, all 6 C's are kind of weighed equally within the Rural Center, but credit is an important thing. So we always try to suggest that our borrowers know what's on your credit, because it's super important to know. What you don't want to do is go to a lender and you don't yourself know what's on your credit. So we promote that you check your credit report annually. And then you can also use other resources that you can check on a more regular basis, like Credit Karma, and a lot of credit cards these days have like smaller, easier ways to check to understand exactly what's on your credit. But just make sure you're informed on that aspect of your credit reporting. The next C of lending is collateral. So collateral serves as a secondary source of repayment for your loan. So if you can't cover it with capital and pay the money back through the business, collateral does serve as that secondary source of repayment. And it's a way to guarantee your loan with your personal assets. And it's important to know if you don't pay, you can expect to lose your collateral. So there are a couple of different types of collateral. So the document on the left is a UCC. It's one of the ways you would use business assets to secure debt. So with that, you can look at business equipment. Like if you were opening a kitchen, you can use things like the kitchen equipment. If you're opening a daycare center and you had computers and educational equipment, a UCC would be used to secure that type of equipment. Other types of collateral also include vehicles, so that's a document that's on the right. And you can put a lien on a vehicle. Other types of collateral that can be used at times includes like deeds of trust and cash assets. So when it comes to collateral, an important step is to look at the assets that you have. So you can look at real estate, personal vehicles, as well as business vehicles and business equipment, and also cash pledges, which are all different types of collateral. It's important that when you're looking at your collateral, that you assess the value of those assets and see if there are also existing liens on that collateral. One of the ways that I always recommend to assess the value is one of the easiest ways is like looking at the tax value of it. So when you look at personal real estate as well as vehicles, you can just go to your county website and they'll tell you like how much the tax value of that item is. And that's one way it can be documented. You can also look at a couple other, you can look at your purchase value and figure out the value of things, but just make sure that you have some sense of value of your assets. One of the third steps when it comes to collateral is to see if you're willing to pledge this item as collateral. Because once again, it is collateral. It's the secondary source of repayment. So you have to think about, okay, if this business is not successful, am I willing to lose this item? But hopefully you don't get to that stage where you have to use collateral as a way to repay your loan. And then fourth, you can check to see if your lender actually allows that thing to be a type of collateral on their product. The next C of lending includes capacity. So with capacity, you look at not only the capacity of the business, but we look at the business owner. So do you have the management and professional background to demonstrate those skills? And you look at both the business plan as well as the resume, because you want to not only know if the business owner has done the research to understand their business, but you want to see if they have that background. So one important thing that we always suggest is that when it comes to evaluating the capacity of both the business and the owner, is that even if you haven't done something in your professional background and you've done it as a hobby for a while, it's important to note that as well. So if you've been baking on the side for the last 5 to 10 years, but you've never done it professionally, it's important to say that you've done it in a hobby aspect, to see that you've done it and you've tested the market. Ways to assess capacity include your business plan. So a lot of you guys found out about this webinar through your Small Business Center, so they're a great resource when it comes to business plan development, and they're available to help you to hash out that business plan. And another way to assess your capacity is your resume. So once again, on that resume, you can include professional experience if you have that, but then also include if you've done it as a hobby, if you have a passion for it, and just try to make sure you highlight that you have done this before. Because sometimes I have business owners that I recently supported a business owner who wanted to start a food truck. His professional background is for the last 30 years, he's been a trucker. So I'm like, okay, everyone has to eat, but how exactly is a trucker going to open up a food truck? But he had actually been working as a caterer through his wife for a while. So adding that helped show that he had the capacity to establish a food truck and is doing really well. Another important C when it comes to lending includes cash flow. So as a lender, you closely examine not only the business available cash, but you also will look at the personal expenses of the borrower as well. So when it comes to the business cash flow, you look at how much is coming into the business and if that amount can cover the operating expenses and any fixed monthly expenses. So we look at the profit of the business as well as the losses of the business. So the rent, if you have any active debts, if you have to pay your employees, those type of things are included in the cash flow. And then for startups and small businesses, we also look at the personal cash flow because we understand a lot of times that as small business owners and startups, you are your business. So your personal cash flow is your business cash flow. So we look at what we call a global cash flow, but we want to make sure that not only the business can support the debt, but the person themselves can support the debt. So we'll look at if you currently have a job and you're currently employed, we'll look at those things to include within the cash flow of the business. And some of the documentation we look at when it comes to cash flow is that we do look at tax returns, and we'll look at what you made over the last year to see how that sets up, and then we'll look at items such as your bank statements to see the month-to-month transactional history of your both your business as well as your personal accounts, because once again we look at the business and the person as one. And then another way that we assess the cash flow is that we look at projections, especially when it comes to startup businesses. We want to see exactly where you project the business to be, not only to see the value that you see in the business, we want to also know that it's a realistic cash flow projection. We want to see if you think within the first 3 months you're going to be making $7 million. We want to understand exactly where your mindset is when it comes to your business. So this document is actually available on our website. Even if you don't want to do a loan through us, it's a really helpful document to kind of look at the income and expenses of a startup, and it's a great starting spot to figure out that startup budget. Another C of lending includes conditions. So it refers to the market conditions of the area your business is located in. We want to see that your business, not only will your business be successful, but the area that it's located in matters. We don't want you to open up a yoga studio when there's 7,000 yoga studios in your area. We want to make sure that you've done the research and you've looked at the conditions around to make sure that that environment can support your business. Because it's not only important that you have a successful business owner, but you have the clientele to support that business. So an example would be if you wanted to start a daycare and there are 10 daycares in your area and there are only 9 children, you don't need to open the 11th daycare because you won't have any clients for that type of business. And we also want to look to make sure that even if you are duplicating another business in your area, you have a niche to yours to make it a little bit different. So a couple of stories when it comes to conditions. We've had a couple of businesses when it comes, like as a loan officer and a business coach, we look at the conditions in your area. So we had one bar who wanted to start up a auto repair shop, and the initial area that he wanted to start up the auto shop was saturated with auto repair shops. So instead of opening up in that exact area, we kind of gave him the recommendation to find a separate area outside of that market that he could still open up his auto shop, but he wouldn't have as much competition. Competition's good, but we want to make sure that the competition not only presses you to be successful, but not hinders you. And then the second picture comes from, we had a small business owner who were saying they wanted to open up a restaurant. And we asked them about restaurants. They were like, well, there's nothing really open in our area. And a quick Google search found out there was a lot of restaurants downtown. So we didn't just say, don't open the restaurant, but we wanted to know what were they offering to make their restaurant a different type of niche, to bring on different clients and things of that nature. So the next C is character. To me, this is one of the most important type C's when it comes to lending, especially for the work that I do. We look at the character of the client. Lenders use it to assess your reliability, your trustworthiness, and your ability to overall overcome challenges. And we assess this through phone calls and emails and just various interactions with the client. Because I always say, if you aren't the nicest to me and I'm the one like allowing you and providing you the access to capital, you won't really do too well with your clients, and I don't know how successful that business will be. So character is super important, especially a lot of times since our clients or the clients that we end up running into kind of struggle when it comes to like the collateral piece and credit piece, we do weigh in on the character piece as well, and it's very important. So when it comes to character, we always make sure that we inform our clients to make sure that you're consistent on your application, because we are looking at that to make sure that you are consistent, that your application is trustworthy, and that the information provided on the actual application will be supported by documentation. We always make sure that people note their responsiveness and their tone of voice, because it can leave an impression on not only your lender, but also your clients as well. And then we also want to make sure that we stress the importance of your business counselor and your relationship with them. Because when it comes to the lending process and our overall internal process when it comes to extending capital, we do look at those relationships a lot. So those are the 6 C's of lending. And next, we will go through different ways of financing. And when it comes to financing, we feel as though it's important to look at what financing is right for you. So when it comes to looking at what financing is right for you, you need to look at your needs, and your needs most times comes to the amount of money that you need, as well as the terms, the collateral, and things of that nature. And you have to also look at what the lender needs. So how much capital they can extend, their interest rates and the return on their investments, as well as their collateral requirements. And then once you can get those to the line up, you can go with that lender. So loans are not the only type of financing available. There are a lot of types of financing, including credit cards, which is one of the easiest to get access to, but tend to typically have super high interest rates. There are micro lenders such as myself, and there are a couple other micro lenders that work in the space as well that typically offer small business loans up to $35,000. There are a couple other different type of factors. So you have like a credit unions and banks, which are available, but typically for startups, it's a little bit harder to assess. And one that's really growing within North Carolina right now is like crowdfunding. So there's a lot of options on those. If you're lucky enough to have family and friends who can invest in your business, you can look at all these different types of options. And as a business counselor and lender, I'm always willing to help you look at various options and not just try to push our loans, but we want to help make sure that you're getting the best option available to you.
Jalisha, we got a couple questions for you here real quick.
Okay.
On the chat, we got one. It's an LLC startup, my personal debt due to the startup funds needed for businesses, credit low. How do you separate funds from the business funds?
So overall, we look at the overall picture. So we look at not only your business, and we understand as a startup that sometimes it does hit your personal credit. So that's why we make sure we weigh in the cash flow, the credit, and we try to look at the entire picture and not just say, okay, they have this credit score, we can't help them. We try to paint an overall picture and to make sure we understand the story when it comes to the entire thing. So it is kind of hard to separate the two because a lot of times they are one together. But we have the flexibility as being a nonprofit and a small lender that we can try to paint the best picture when it comes to the process. And
then the other question we have is having trouble finding a location for my bakery, trying to reach out to the community college, but I'm not sure where to look.
Okay. Todd, do you want to answer that one?
I definitely would recommend, no matter where you're at, check with your the small business center at the community college, and if they can't directly help you, odds are they're connected with the economic development or chamber in the area who could probably help you with the location.
Exactly.
So and then somebody asked about getting a copy, and we'll be glad to. These will be Jalisha's going to provide the slideshow, and we'll be sending these out via email after the seminar, or webinar, sorry. So.
Exactly.
All right.
Very good questions. Thank you, guys. And then this other document from SBTDC provides a lot of different opportunities when it comes to capital. So once again, knowing that loans are not the only option, but there's those other options of finance. So once you get the copy of the PowerPoint, feel free to check out this document that shows you various options of capital opportunities available within North Carolina. So another important part when it comes to lending is not only looking at the capital, you want to know how much money you have, so how much you can invest yourself within your business. So a lot of times lenders do look that you have personal buy-in into your business. It's important to show that you've taken some risk on your own to start up your business, and then how much additional money you need to start up that business. So when you're looking at that startup budget, make sure you include the what-ifs and emergencies, but be creative on ways to keep costs low. So if your goal is to open up a shop, see if you can start in your home and doing it on a smaller scale before moving to brick and mortar, to see if you have that client pool, to make sure that we're keeping costs low, and we don't want to over-invest into a business that might not do well. So I always tell my clients to make sure you're testing the market and don't just jump all the way out, to start small. And to think about ways where you can get that funding from. So if you have personal savings, family and friends, and then also other jobs and sources of income. So a lot of my small business owners, they initially start out with their businesses being part-time, and then they slowly work their way into it being a full-time venture, which I feel like is a very smart way of doing it. So if you have a current job and you want to start your business in a part-time manner until you can support yourself completely in your business, that is an awesome way to do it. So at this point, we've covered various financing options as well as the 6 C's of lending. And next, we'll go into more specifics about Thread Capital and how I myself can help you within the funding arena. So who are our clients? Our clients are typically entrepreneurs looking to start or expand a small business within North Carolina, and traditional financing is not available. And that traditional financing may not be available for a number of reasons. It may be credit reasons. It may be the fact that it's a startup business. A lot of times, banks and bigger organizations need 3 years of positive revenue before they're able to make you a business loan. We're a little bit more flexible on that. So those are our clients. And a few notes when it comes to our loan program. Loans are only one part of Thread Capital. We also provide connections and coaching. We want to make sure that we not only provide you with that capital, we also want to make sure that we're helping you be as successful as possible. So we can directly provide that coaching, but then we also partner with agencies such as the Small Business Center and SBTDCs and more on the ground coaches to help you out. And then we also want to help provide those connections. We want to make sure that if you have a small business and we have another small business that we can connect together, we want to provide that. Another important part, a note about our loans, is that all of our monthly payments are automatically deducted from a business account. So we do promote that our clients do start a business account because it is important to try to establish separating your business funds from your personal funds. And one of the ways, like to go back to your earlier question, is to establish a business account. Another thing about our loans is that all of our loans are personally guaranteed. So not only is your business responsible for it, but it does also show up on your personal credit, and you as a business owner are responsible for the loan as well. And then our loans do require collateral, and one important note for that is that assets purchased with the loan may be used as collateral on the loan. So some of our loan basics is that we offer a $20,000 maximum for startup businesses. We categorize anyone as having less than 1 year of documented revenue as a startup. So even if you've been doing it for 3 years and you have not kept your books, if you don't have your profit and loss and things of that nature, you're considered a startup in our eyes. And then we offer up a maximum of $50,000 for existing businesses. And then if you have a need where you need additional capital, we can partner with other organizations in the area to also meet those needs. All of our loans are termed up to 7 years, and there's no prepayment penalty. And when it comes to interest rates, they're determined on the risk of the loan, the amount of the loan, as well as the usage of the loan. And our overall practice is if you're getting a smaller loan, the interest rate will be higher than a larger loan. Larger loans have a lower interest rate. We've priced our loans to where we can assist as many people as possible. Some common uses for our loans include purchasing business equipment, purchasing supplies and inventory, working capital, leasehold improvements, and real estate purchases. So you can basically use it for anything to start or expand a business within North Carolina. Some of the basic documentation that we require, and once again, this presentation will be mailed out to you, so hopefully you're not frantically trying to write it all down. But so we require a completed application. We'll need to see like business and personal tax returns. We look at business income statements, the purpose of the loan, a list of collateral, income documentation, and startups require a little bit more details because we will need a business plan, a resume, financial projections, and things of that nature. Additional documentation is maybe requested on an as-needed basis. And then I see that we have another question. So one of the important things that we always say, the best way to know if you're eligible for the process is to apply. We can do face-to-face meetups. We can also do phone conversations because I am based out of Raleigh. And then a lot of times we do work a lot with small business center directors. So depending on where you're located, your small business center director can also help you with the process. So they understand our process, but then also I'm willing to come out and do events as well in person. Our overall eligibility does include being over 18 years of age due to the fact that it is a loan, and legally to borrow money, you have to be over 18. Another important part is having a business that's located within North Carolina. Your credit does not have to be perfect. We want to know that currently you are showing a successful repayment history. Our target baseline is around 575, so it's not really a minimum, but that's our target baseline. Our average credit score is in the low 600s, though. And once again, we look at the overall picture to understand exactly what happened with your credit, and our overall goal is to also help you reestablish credit if that is an issue of yours. We also want to look at the cash flow because we want to know that you do have did you have enough cash flow to cover the loan? And then we want to see that you have, if you have any like bankruptcies, collections, and things of that nature, we can discuss those on a needs. We can discuss those individually, but we want to make sure that all things are looked at overall. And once again, we do need a business checking account to be established for payment. So businesses that do not qualify for our loan programs are nonprofits. We do have, unless your nonprofit has a for-profit entity under it, because we don't want it to be where your repayment of our loan is contingent upon getting funding through a grant. We don't currently provide loans for consumer marketing or like co-op operations, gambling concerns, floor plan concerns, speculations, and in other lending and investment institutes or multi-level marketing and pyramid sales. Our overall application process was pictured. Typically, our overall goal is to, from receiving your full application to payments, we project that the program itself takes around 30 days, and there's a lot of internal documentation that's needed. And you will work with a loan officer on that process. So, after you move through the application process, you're funded. What's next? Once again, we do monthly ACH draws from a business account. Communication is always key. We are a small lender, and we're overall here to help you. So we want to make sure that you do communicate with us. If the money's not there, let us know. We can work out a payment plan. We don't want to, one of our overall goals is to help you establish credit, and we don't want to hurt your credit. So if we need to push a payment back a month or something, we can discuss that. We want to make sure that we're doing our best to help you establish credit. And once again, we know life happens, so keep us posted. Tell us about your business successes. We love to showcase our businesses and to show that they are successful and they are growing. So we want to know about it. So don't just contact us when things aren't going well, but also know that we're here to help you in successes and things of that nature. We want to support you. I always try to make sure when I am out in the community that I visit my businesses and things of that nature. And you're ready for your journey. So next I'll go back to see if we have any questions, and then also providing my contact information.
Jalisha, do you have some questions there if you'll take a look?
Okay. So the one about tax liens, so if you had tax liens before but they've been satisfied, that is okay. Or if you currently have a tax lien and you're in a payment plan, that we can work around that too. So long as we know that you're successfully repaying the capital, we're okay with that. What we don't want to happen is that we make you a loan and then the IRS just comes and takes the money and you're not able to start your business. So all of our things, we try to make sure that we tailor it one-on-one, and we don't have any hard and steady rules that are like, okay, we can't do this. But all of those are discussable things. And do non-financial felony convictions disqualify you for a loan? No, they do not disqualify you from a loan. We want to make sure that we are supporting business owners and we understand that things happen in life. So we want to support you and support the economic development of North Carolina, and we don't want to turn anyone down on those matters. So once again, we can work with everyone to the best of our abilities. It seems as though I've answered all the questions. If we have any more, make sure you add them.
We
And
have
I
a
want to thank everyone for once again viewing this presentation. And if you have any questions, my contact information is here as well. So if you didn't want to answer it through this, you can either call me or email me, and I'm always available. And Power, you saying something?
I was just going to say, if anybody has questions, now's the time. We've got a couple minutes here. We're coming up just a quarter after, and want to make sure everybody gets their questions answered. If you don't have any other questions, we got somebody up. Take a look at the chat, Jalisha.
Yeah, let me go back to the chat.
One of the questions I think hasn't been asked, but kind of goes along with some of these, is how much of a past, how much history do people have to show of good repayment, even if they're trying to dig themselves out, generally works for you all?
So once again, that's on a case-by-case basis, but we want to see that you're setting strides to get your credit back in line. 6 months to a year is a decent start to get those. Like if you establish payment plans and you're working on that, and then we can always do it where if you currently need $20,000, but we can't do it due to credit situations or cash flow, we can always see if we can give you a smaller amount to help you with your bootstrapping of your process. So I don't want anyone to feel as though they're disqualified because of any of the things I've said. Like, make sure you contact us, and we're really flexible, and we try to do our best to assist. So a lot of times we'll try to even start where we'll give you a smaller loan so you can establish a relationship with us here at Thread Capital, and we'll work through the process with you. We can give you a smaller loan to help you with that bootstrapping.
That's good. Okay, so you see you got questions there in the chat and the Q&A.
For some reason, okay, I do see the chat. To open a business account before you start a business, how does that affect your taxes? I do not currently, I don't know the exact answer for that one, but I will make sure to follow up about if you open a business account before you start the business. And let's see the ones for the chat. So once again, we do, someone's question was if their credit was destroyed because of like past situations, would they still be eligible for the loan program? We look at the entire picture, so we don't have any set of rules when it comes to credit, but we'll look at the entire situation. So if you're working to improve that credit, we'll see what we can exactly do to assist you. We might have to start off with a smaller loan to build that relationship with us and to also help you reestablish your credit, but we would not say that's a reason to disqualify you for a loan with Thread Capital.
Good. Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions for Jalisha? We'll say going once, going twice. The other thing, and Jalisha has recommended this over and over again, is if you need assistance, please feel free to hit up your small business center at the community colleges. They're more than happy to help you through the process and then answer any of these other questions that have kind of the sideline questions to these issues, but be more than happy to help you along the way in terms of meeting that process. So. And then you got Daniel. Daniel's asking if he can call you.
Yeah.
And of course, you got the number right there. So, and we will be sending out the slideshow here via email from your small business center. So, look forward to that. And if you have any other questions after the fact, you'll have the information for both Jalisha, and we'll make sure you got the information from your small business center. So thanks again for everybody. We have a question. Does slideshow have audio? We will be sending out the link for the recording. So if folks want to have access to it, we'll have it up for probably a short time for anybody who did or did not attend today. So we will have this for a short time for folks who want to sit down and watch it after the fact if they didn't catch it today. So so if you did not, everybody here's hearing this now, but if you want to catch it later, you'll be able to catch it. But otherwise, you'll have the slideshow definitely, and I think Jalisha did a great job. So you'll have all the information right there. So if we have no other questions, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. And don't forget to look forward to the other upcoming webinars next week, and then the other ones coming up in July and August. Look forward to those from your Small Business Center directors. Jalisha, thanks again. Appreciate your time today. And
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
hopefully we can get you some new clients for Thread Capital.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.